I wish I could say that this was a fun video. This is one of those videos that's a reminder and a warning. Because today's video goes out to the part of you that doesn't think it's strong enough. To the person who's been in something way too long. For the person who sees that maybe there's not any, I don't even know if it's going to change, so I'm just going to stick with this. Even though you can feel it draining yourself and really not making you feel good, to say it in the most simplest way. Because some of you guys don't even realize, some of us as people, myself included, we don't realize how strong we are. So I'm going to remind you how strong you are and show it to you, and also let you realize that sometimes that's the problem. That's the problem. By the way, tomorrow, or I think it's tomorrow, or maybe it's today, the 29th of September, we're having our free masterclass. I'm going to be in the mountains in a village doing some work for TikTok, and I'm hoping I have service. It might just be audio, but I hope I can do video and see all you all's beautiful faces like we do every Friday here on this channel. And how strong you are. And the link to join is below to sign up for it. Totally free. You know, it was sparked to me by a conversation I was having with someone, and I said, you know, if you learned English, you know, you'd be able to have a little bit more opportunities. You know, I was like talking to someone here in Mexico, and I was like, you'd be able to go here. You can also work for some people here, and if you just, and we actually have work for you. We have work for you, but you just need to learn a few things in English first before you can start to help people learn it. And their response was, I don't know, it's just too hard. It's just too hard. Anytime someone who's in a situation that they do not like and their response to get out of that situation is too hard, what that tells me when I find that, what it tells me when I look in the confusion, that when I put my little filter glasses on, what it tells me is you just are so strong that you can stay in a situation that's way harder from the outside looking in, because remember, you can't read the label of the jar out from inside the glass. You know, when you're inside the jar, you can't read the label on the outside. You need someone to see it for you. They found that to learn English, which was free, was harder than them showing up every day, except Wednesdays, for 10 hours a day, staying in a small little room, incredibly hot, maybe 2 or 3 customers come in there a day, because it's on a street here in Mexico. You have some streets that just have all the same stuff. So they found that that was harder. That was harder. English was harder than that. And I told them, I was like, it's harder than staying here for 11 hours a day, 6 days a week for maybe $10 or $20. And they started to think about it. And they're just like, well, you know, we've had conversations since then, but what it did was it made me just realize, and I can't remember the name of the lady who says it, but it's something along the lines of, if you stay in, we'll say for better terms, if you stay in poop long enough, it stops smelling. It doesn't smell anymore because you've just been in it for so long. It's why for me, for some people, especially the people who I work with from the States who are in corporate and are really wanting to get out, and it's been on their heart for a long time, and I've come to realize, in kind of, for me, I'm not the first person that people call. If you want to leave your job, you want to travel, I'm really not the first person. I may be the first person that comes to your mind, but I'm not the first person people call. They usually try a bunch of things before they come to me. I'm usually like the last. I'm the last. Like, you know, okay, whatever it costs, let me do this. And I realize it because they've been doing something for so long, living in a place they do not like, working at a place that they don't really appreciate anymore. And you know, it's a very fine line. It's another. We have another video on that coming out next week, talking about being trapped in your own success. But they've been doing it for so long that it stops just feeling miserable because you just go numb to it. You know, numb can mean you just don't feel anything, or numb could also mean you just feel everything at once that you can't even process it. You just have like anyone who has a Mac, you know, when you see that little rainbow circle thing, I don't know what it is on Windows. It used to be the hourglass thing. It means that it's just so much loading. We just need a minute. So what ends up happening is people are so strong they don't realize it. It's not that you're too weak to do it. It's just you're so strong. You've been in this situation you don't like for so long. You're just so strong. And I was having a few conversations where this has come up in the past few weeks. I was telling someone, and I learned it the hard way. I had been in a relationship when I was living in Australia, playing basketball there for a few years. And for me, I felt that, I don't know if I've ever talked about this in a public, free thing, video. But I was in a relationship, and in that relationship, for me, strength, especially early on, strength meant sticking through everything. Even though there were signs that said, you know, I shouldn't really be here. Like there were signs early on when you're in the dating phase. And strength meant hanging on. Strength meant doing whatever it takes to get it done. But I was in the wrong situation and I knew it. And I say that because some people realize they're in the wrong situation. They've realized it for a really long time. And they can just keep going with it and dig themselves deeper into it, or now's the time to maybe change some things. Doesn't mean you have to leave. But the question that came to me when I was in this relationship was like, you know, strength was hanging on and it's just like getting worse and more everything is just going the opposite way. Well, as my friend Natty says, you can tell when something's not working when you're getting the exact opposite result of what you actually want to get. So I really thought about that, and I was just like, you know, strength. And then later on, I had a question come to my mind that really changed everything, and I use it to this day. It's like, I know what you think strength is, okay? Because strength looks different in every situation. But what does strength look like in this moment? It's a powerful question. Questions are always the answer. You got to remember that. Because you can't get the answer to a question that you don't ask. That's something I heard Dr. Myron Golden say. You can't get it. So the question is, what is strength in this moment? For me, strength, pro athlete, let's go. Strength is we get through it. We figure this out. Or does strength in this moment look like letting it go? No. It can't look like letting it go. No. It's not letting it go. It's holding on for dear life, and we're going to get this. Like, that's what strength is. Strength is holding on and doing that. Really? It's tough to let it go, isn't it? Yeah, it is a little bit tough. So strength is holding on to it, you know. So it's tough to let go of it. Yeah. That would require some strength, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah, that kind of would. Interesting. Strength in the moment. Strength in the moment. Because you gotta remember, strength is defined by the moment. How about that one? Strength is defined in the moment. Because there's some things you can do that are strong in one situation, but in another situation is not strong at all, actually. Like for some people, the people who I talk to for the most part, the majority of everyone I talk to is terrified of making videos. Terrified of making videos. So one of the things that we work on is realizing what's the reason you're terrified of videos, because it exposes something in yourself. It shows you something in yourself. Like the most common thing I hear is people are like, I don't like the way I look on camera. And I'm like, well, how you look on camera is kind of how you look. You don't like the way you look? Nah, but the camera does. Interesting. Very interesting. So we expose things in ourselves, which shows us things about ourselves. And I say that because strength for me is not getting on camera. Strength for me is not making a video. Strength for me is not walking around with a camera in a public space. That doesn't require any strength. I don't even think about it. Strength for me in this moment is, can you sit down in front of the camera and share something from your heart that you know can help one person who stumbles onto this video? Can just one, just help one person. And I was like, well, yeah, that kind of is strength. That kind of is strength for me, because it's scary. So sometimes strength and scary go hand in hand. Some of you guys, strength in this moment does not look like keep on doing what you're doing. Strength in the moment is not that. For some of you, you're beyond that. So the question is, what does strength look like for you? Like in this moment? What does strength look like? Is it walking away from something that you built and created, that you loved at one point in time, but now it's changed? You know, as a pro athlete, you know, strength changed according to the match. Like, there were some games that I played that strength for me meant like fighting it through. And Luke, you gotta get 40 tonight. If you don't score 40, you're not gonna win this game, because they got two players that can score 40. But sometimes strength in that match meant that I had to be the person who facilitated. As much as I wanted to score, all of a sudden I'm realizing that every time I play, especially probably like my last 5 years as a pro athlete, every game I'm gonna get double teamed, without question. So strength in the moment meant sometimes fighting through it, getting the fouls, getting the calls, and see what's going on. Are the refs calling it? Are they giving me something? Or they're not saying nothing, letting this guy just hit me and everything. So strength in that moment needed to change. Strength in that moment, we say in Spanish, we need to cambiar. Or in French, we need to changer. We need to change this. Because strength in this moment means we need to get other people opportunities. We need to facilitate this a little bit better, because we got to get other people opportunities. This is something that I needed to realize, because strength is defined by the moment. It takes a strong person for me to give up the spotlight in a game that everyone's looking for me, to now put my trust in the people there who are battling with me. It took strength. It takes strength. And sometimes it's just the courage. It's the courage to walk away versus the willingness to keep going. And we kind of put those as two separate things. What if you need the courage to walk away so then you can have the strength to keep walking? What if that's like the little formula? Because I know some of you guys are just in situations, and you've been in situations for so long. And you've forgotten that it's not what you want. It's not what you want anymore. I know it hurts to hear it for some of you. Who this message is for, it hurts to hear that. It's just not for you anymore. It's not for you. You're not supposed to work there anymore. You know that. You're not supposed to live there anymore. You've known that for a long time. But now, do you have the strength, do you have the courage to do what's needed to reach what is next for you? For some people, I've realized, the people that I've worked with who, for example, live in the States, I think of the States so much because we're so corporate. The ones who I've worked with in the States, it's such a hard, especially the ones in corporate. Interesting, because I'm switching to, I want to work with more men, but for some reason, corporate businesswomen stumble on my path a lot, and I end up working with more of them. But I've realized that it's so structured, because for anything you have to do, it has to go through a chain of command, has to go through approval, there's steps to get that done. There's steps to just make the request for change. I was talking to a lady who wanted some help, and I said, well, when you get vacation? She said, well, I got to wait till January is when we can file for vacation, I think. You have to file for vacation. And she's like, then I don't know if I'm approved or not. It was something like this. And I was like, oh. If that's how your brain works, like for me to do something that I love, go on vacation, have a break, I need to get approved. I have to get approved. It changes the way sometimes you look at things. You think I have to get approval to do certain things. It just feeds into that belief of like I need approval to do it. But when you step outside that world, that's not required. You learn. You realize you can change your life like this. You can say yes. One yes can change everything. Last night I just finished a talk to a university in Poland to help kids adjust to their new life that they're having. And the one thing I said in this talk, and maybe I'll try and recreate that talk while it's still fresh in my mind, is what is on, like, people fail to realize. Why do I say hello to so many people? Like, if you guys watch the vlog and I say hi to everyone, and it's so interesting because some people are like, why do you say hi to everyone? And I'm just like, what do you mean? Why do you not? And the one thing I said in this talk to these people, because they're worried that they're not going to make any friends, they're not going to meet anyone. And I said, well, you know, I've just realized that there is magic on the other side of hello. On the other side of hello, there's magic. On the other side of hello has been the most amazing times. Everyone that I've met has been on the other side of hello. Literally everyone I've met for the most part. So the hello is scary, maybe, but I've learned, and this is maybe a new belief that I have, just 4 or 5 days old, is that I gotta learn to fall in love with the end result that I want. I realized that I don't have to love the process. I used to think that I had to love the process. I had to enjoy the process. I kept thinking the process had to be fun. And it doesn't say love the process, because the process is not always fun. The process is not always beautiful. And especially when you're doing something sometimes super big, the process actually isn't entertaining sometimes. When I was doing like daily vlogs, the process, people think the process is making videos and putting it out. That's fun. Well, the end result is not the views necessarily. I mean, the end result is that it impacts somebody. But the process is filming and walking around and thinking of like, what am I going to talk about? How does what I do now relate to what I'm going to do later? How can I add, like, that's the process. And yes, I do find enjoyment in the process, and I can find enjoyment in the process, but to think the process was all fun, I mean, when you're sitting around at, you know, when you're sitting around at 9 o'clock at night and you realize you got 4 hours of editing ahead of you, and then you wake up in the morning to upload it, and because the internet's so slow where you're at, they say that the internet's going to take, you know, hour and 57 minutes to upload. That was the average time to upload videos when I was traveling. And I realized I got to sit in this coffee shop for 2 more hours to upload. That's not a fun process necessarily. The end result was for 15 minutes of entertainment, but the process. But I've realized if I fall so in love with the end result, the process is all good. I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all. And actually, I got to go soon. I'm here for it all. I'm here for the process. I'm here for the whole thing. Got to do what you got to do. Like the other day, I to upload these videos, sometimes I got to find places where I can upload where the internet's actually really fast. That's a challenge sometimes. That is a true challenge. And I'll sit somewhere for like 40 minutes just to get a video uploaded. Do I like that process? No. But I realize I love the end result, so I can make the process work. It's a whole nother talk for another video. But I want to remind you how strong you are. How strong you are. And sometimes our strength is used against us. I don't have energy, Luke. Yeah, you do. Because you can scroll social media for 2 hours a day. You got energy. Because when was the last time you scrolled social media and you finished scrolling and you felt like you had more energy? You got it. Some of y'all got the energy. You got it. But sometimes strength mismanaged is a very high it's vulnerability. It's weakness. Taking your army of 3 people up against 100 seems strong. But strength in that moment, maybe strength in that moment is walking away. Strength in that moment maybe is going and doing something different. Strength in that moment is maybe pursuing your dream. Strength in the moment is maybe having the courage to leave. And for all my people in a relationship, sometimes strength in that moment, and this is something that I'm learning, sometimes strength in that moment is realizing that you don't have to be right. Because you can win the argument and lose the relationship. And did you win? I'm strong enough. I can get there. Or maybe it's realizing that, maybe my perspective just isn't the best one. That makes sense. I don't know what you're going through, but I can understand that it's difficult. Sometimes something simple like that. Sometimes strength is realizing that this is not the right time to talk about this. I'm gonna be strong enough to deal with this later. I'm gonna have the courage to have this conversation in another moment. Or maybe I'm having the courage to have a conversation right now before this gets too big. Let's kill this awkwardness between us. Let's have the courage to say I'm sorry, to say that I was wrong, that I didn't understand. The courage. But that starts with understanding what does strength look like in this moment. Strength means I don't like paying for help, but maybe it's time that I pay. I shouldn't reach out to that person because I'm going to be embarrassed telling them about this, but they can help me, so I'm going to do it anyways. Strength in the moment. So the question I have for you, and I'm hoping this video can come out before Friday because I hope to see you guys on Friday. And you guys who were in the last class, I hope you can sign up and join us again because we had a great time, all of you guys, last week. And what does strength look like for you right now? Because it looks different for everyone. Because it's always changing, like it's moving, like if you look at ice on river that's broken, it's just all moving. It's all moving. So the question is, what does strength look like for you in this situation that you're in right now that you know is past, overdue for you to... Strength is defined in the moment, my friends. In the moment. Now we're off to the mountains. Love you guys. Take care.